Never do today what you can put off until tomorrow. No, that's not my approach to client service, but you might be forgiven for thinking that that's the government's attitude when it comes to its review of business rates administration. You'll recall that it was a year ago, in December 2013's autumn statement, that the government announced it was going to undertake a review into business rates administration. And here we are a year on, and we've only just got what are called interim findings. And frankly, there's not a lot of finding within that document. It's more about, we're going to be thinking about lots of things in the future, and we want to hear your views. Again, it has been a fairly wide-ranging review, and the government team, Treasury, Communities Department and the Valuation Office Agency have looked far and wide into possible radical solutions to certain aspects of the business rating system. They've heard the calls from business who have said, we want to retain individual valuations for each property, bespoke valuations. We don't want a banding system or a zoning system which treats different properties as if they were the same. I think that's the right answer. But the review has not yet heard the views of businesses in relation to other aspects where businesses have been calling for change. One of the key terms of reference for the admin review was that the system in the future was going to be simpler, more transparent, and more responsive to change in market circumstances. The system we have at the moment is clunky. We have what is normally a 5-yearly revaluation cycle, extended to 7 years by this government, which means that rateable values and therefore rates bills are massively out of touch with the property market. And businesses have in the main been calling for far more frequent revaluations. But the findings of the interim review say that the responses are mixed. And yes, they are. Local authorities have said they don't want more frequent revaluations. They're worried about their funding and the stability of their financing for providing local services. Well, I think that is the tail wagging the dog. It's the business view that really should be king in relation to this particular matter. And although the government has not dismissed the idea of more frequent revaluations, the paper it published from the Valuation Office Agency suggesting that revaluations which are occurring more frequently are likely to be more volatile, I think is very defensive. Yes, they could be more volatile, there could be more frequent changes in rates bills, but actually isn't that what the system is all about? That is fairness. If property values increase, it's right that those properties should face larger rates bills. Businesses actually are calling for more volatility. Now, the government has said that it's going to set up a working group which is going to be examining in more detail whether one should have more frequent revaluations. So they're not to dismiss the idea, even though they are pretty defensive about the status quo. There's another working group going to be set up to look at simplicity and transparency and the method of delivering electronically rates bills which are more consistent between one local authority and the other. Again, that's been a call that businesses have made, and it would have been nice if some decisions had been taken by now, but at least there's an opportunity still to influence change for the better. And lastly, the government is looking to radically change the approach to appeals against rateable value assessments. It went through a whole consultation process earlier this year, and following responses from businesses, it did listen on this occasion, and it decided to wrap the review of appeals and checking and challenging rateable values into this administration review. But again, no decisions have been taken, and I'm a little bit concerned that what is coming out of the suggestions from the interim findings is that actually government is going to require more from businesses, more provision of information, possible registration of all leases, disclosure to local authorities whenever a change is made to a property or its use, but there's no clear offering from the government that in response the Valuation Office Agency is going to be more transparent and share the rental evidence on which rateable values have been based in order to help businesses check their values and not to have to go through a long, expensive and unnecessary appeal system just to check whether their values are fair or not. The government's asked for responses and comments on the admin review, the interim findings of it, by the 28th of February 2015. And you may well think, hang on a minute, haven't I already responded to this? I've provided my views on all of these issues. And I think, yes, it's true, the government is really just asking for the same comments again, but it's asking some specific questions, and it would be foolhardy not to respond to those. Perhaps I'm being overly critical here. The rating system is complex, and one does need to spend the time and the effort to make sure that any changes are ones that will last into the future and are not just knee-jerk reactions to problems of today. So let's spend the time, let's look very carefully at all of these issues, and we will play our part and answer all the questions and contribute to the debate. And obviously we're going to be happy to help you, and if you'd like to get in touch with us or your usual Gerald Eve contact, let's talk about these issues, let's feed in the responses to the government so we get the system right for the future. Well, unless there are further announcements from the government this side of Christmas, and there probably won't be, but who can say? We're still waiting for the terms of reference for the review of the structure of business rates. But if there aren't any more video blogs from me, let me just end off by wishing you a very Merry Christmas, season's greetings, and best wishes for a prosperous, healthy and happy 2015.